ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Terry Elfas. The stage is on you, Terry.
All right, fantastic. Thanks so much, Syed. Thanks so much for having me. I really, really appreciate you guys helping me share with everybody just how to elevate their game in so many ways. And for everybody listening in, thank you for tuning in today. I honestly cannot tell you how excited I am to be talking with you. If you're an event speaker, you're sharing a message that's changing people's lives. You're changing companies. And that means that you're changing the future of the country itself, because let's face it, all of our countries are based on our businesses creating that revenue stream. If you're an agent or if you're an event planner, you're the ones behind the scenes working your butts off to make it happen. Without you, the whole thing would come grinding to a screeching halt. So it's very important to me to make this next several minutes, maybe even up to an hour, very much worth your valuable time, and to give you content that makes you very glad that you turned into this thing. Now, so what's that going to be? For you event planners and agents, I'm going to give you footage that you can share with every single speaker that you work with that will make them so much easier to work with, so much better at what they do, and take so much stress out of your life. So you can spend more time working with your great speakers instead of having to educate speakers so much. And you can help them make more money. You can make more money. You can build your reputation around the world. I think that's important to you. I know it is. And allow you to enjoy life more. Would that be helpful? Wonderful. So for you speakers, I'm going to let you in on the secrets that these event planners and these agents want you to know, but they don't have time to teach you. So they just go with the speakers who already know this. And then I'm going to let you in on my secrets, the ones that I haven't told any audience before, actually, on how I get paid, again, up to $20,000 an hour to speak, how my TED Talk reached number 2 in the world, and how I've helped, thankfully, be able to raise millions and millions of dollars for charities that are important to me by speaking across the nation and in different parts of the world. So before we get into it, I know the chat is open. I'm going to be holding on questions until the end, so please hold your questions. There may be some times where I ask for a response in there. You can feel free to throw some response in there, or if I say something that really hits home with you, you can go ahead and say that in there, because that helps me know how to help people more in the future as well. Okay, if any of this sounds good to you, get ready to take notes. I mean, really, get ready to take notes. Put your tray tables up. Put your seat backs in the upright position. Let's have some fun. I want to start with a story. This story is about Captain Scott. Now, I met Captain Scott when I was at something called Squadron Officers School. See, I was a captain in the United States Air Force. I was the executive officer for an entire group of nuclear B-52 bombers during the Cold War. And Squadron Officers School is where the top captains in the entire Air Force come together for several weeks and learn things like, well, war fighting, like leadership, and communication, because communication is key to leadership. If you cannot communicate, if you can't speak well, you can't lead. So we're all together. This is a serious thing. We're divided in groups of 12. We're in a room. Captains in our uniforms around the table. We got these boards around us. We got the captain who's in charge. This is serious stuff. They're talking about war fighting. They're talking about global leadership. And sitting next to me is Captain Scott. Now, Captain Scott is one of those smart aleck guys, those guys that he's actually pretty quiet, pretty timid when he's in public. But boy, you get him by himself, and he's a smart aleck. I mean, he's saying all these things. I'm trying to be serious here. And he's next to me, and he's whispering things under his breath for me to hear that's just cracking me up. You ever know somebody like that? You might be that person, actually. You might be that person. So he's cracking me up. Okay, said part of it is communication. It's giving speeches. So it came day for speech number 1. I get up, I do my thing. I've been speaking for a long time, so it went pretty well. Right after me, here comes Captain Scott, baby. Oh my gosh, get ready. This is going to be funny. I already know it. It's going to be funny. It's going to be amazing. But I noticed something about Captain Scott when he gets up. When he stood up, he wasn't looking around. He was looking down at the ground. He kind of shuffled up to the front of the room. He had a whole handful of 3x5 note cards, and those suckers were vibrating. He could create a windstorm with the vibration of those cards because he was shaking so badly. He got up to the front of the room, and he mumbled a few things. I don't even know what he said, and neither did anybody else. I don't think he even finished the speech. At some point, he finally walked off. He was so nervous. I was waiting for the little bit of pee to trickle down his flight suit. That's how bad it was. Wow. Well, Captain Scott came up to me outside the barracks that night. He said, Terry, can you help me? I said, yeah, I can. Okay. I spent 15 minutes with him. 15 minutes. That's all. 15 minutes. Okay. Fast forward 2 days later, time for the round 2 of the speeches. And I give my speech. It goes pretty well. It's time for Captain Scott. Oh, geez. Okay, here we go. But I noticed something about Captain Scott. He stood up tall. He stood up proud. He was ready to roll. He's not looking at the ground. He's looking at the people around him. There is a power in his eyes and intensity that I have never seen before. He got up. He had one 3x5 note card in his hand, and it was rock solid. He didn't look at it the entire time he was up there because he was looking at the audience. He gave not just a speech that he finished, he gave an amazing speech. Would you like to know what I taught Captain Scott in that 15 minutes? The one thing that I taught him that changed his life forever. Would you? Too bad. You're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait till the end of this talk, and then I will share that trick with you. We've got some other things to talk about ahead of time. Get ready to take notes. Because now I'm going to give you the top 12 secrets that event planners and agents want you to know, but don't have time to tell you, so they hire other people. And this list comes from event coordinators. It comes from agents that I talk to personally. I ask them, what do you wish these folks knew? And they're like, oh my God, if they could only know this. All right, you want to know what it is? Here we go. Number 1, you need to understand this, folks. The event planner and the agent's reputation is on the line with you. How you speak, how you perform, how you act, everything about you before, during, and after this event. It's not just your reputation on the line. They're the ones that recommended you. They're the ones that said, hire this person. They promoted you. So if you screw up, if you don't do great, it reflects on them. They won't be hired back to bring more speakers in. Listen, they're trusting you with their reputation. They're trusting you with their business. They're trusting you with their future. Earn that trust. Internalize, that's how important this is to them. And that leads us to number 2. If you're the opening keynote, listen, you're setting the tone for the entire conference. It's not just your 60 minutes and that's it. No. You're setting the tone for that entire conference. Everything depends on you. Everyone's attitude going into this conference, what they think about the conference, if they can't wait to hear the other speakers, everything depends on your keynote. No pressure, right? Heck yes, it's pressure. And it should be. If you want to get paid the big bucks, you got to be able to deliver, because that's what it's all about. Here's an example. I was the opening keynote at a major conference recently, big conference. And I did my thing. I stayed for the whole conference. It's what I do. The event planner came up to me on day 2, absolutely tripping out. They were like, I don't know what happened, but it's amazing. Everyone is more engaged than they've ever been before. Everyone's more excited. They're asking the other speakers more questions. They're just really into it. I don't know what happened. I knew what happened. Of course I did. And so did they. They realized it and told me later. That's the power you have as the opening keynote, the entire conference. Wield that power wisely. Okay. Number 3, don't be a diva. Come on. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how cool you are, how powerful you are, what you've done. I don't care. Guess what? Neither does anybody else. Okay. Don't be a diva. Keep your humility. I've heard story upon story, especially one. This person showed up. And yeah, they're no name. You probably know their name, okay? And they've got a big background, but they were such a pain in the butt. Nobody wanted to work with them again. You've probably heard that about actors, right? Certain actors out there that they're really amazing, but everybody's like, I don't care. I won't hire them ever. You know, the director and the producer, I will never hire that person again. They're too much of a pain in the butt. Don't be that pain in the butt. Don't be a diva, okay? Ain't nobody too cool. There's always somebody cooler. All right, number 4, formulate your speech for your audience. Know your audience ahead of time. Know who these people are. Get this. I'm in a conference. I'm in the audience. Major conference. Thousands of people. Huge auditorium. Lee Iacocca was the keynote speaker. If you don't know who he is, shame on you. He invented the Ford Mustang. He saved Chrysler from bankruptcy, and on and on. This guy is an amazing guy, okay? He also, by the way, is very humble and a nice person. I got to work with him directly on a project later on, okay? But Lee Iacocca is getting up and he's speaking to this huge auditorium, and he's going on, and all of a sudden, poof, the lights go out. The lights went out. This whole auditorium, the power shuts down. The only thing that's left over is the emergency lighting. And I see in the emergency lighting somebody walk up to him on stage, talk to him for a couple of minutes, and walk off. And then miraculously, the lights turned back on again. What happened? When Lee was talking, he was talking about the American automobile industry. That's what he knows. That's what he's talking about. But he was talking about how it compares to the Japanese auto industry, how we're so much better. We need to be better. We need to keep taking them on. We need to keep doing better than they are because they'll take over, et cetera, et cetera. So what did they tell him when they went and spoke to him on stage? A good chunk of the audience is from Japan. That's why they shut him down. They had to stop him mid-speech because Lee Iacocca didn't know his audience. Formulate your speech for your audience. Okay, number 5, and I hear this all the time from event planners. Is this helpful so far, y'all? Is this good? Is this helpful? Hopefully. Okay, number 5, stick to your time limit. Okay, these people have a conference to keep on schedule. I know you got a lot to say, and I know you're really cool. That's why you're the keynote and everything. But you got to stick to your time slot. If you go too long, you throw the entire schedule off, and they may actually have to cut you off. How embarrassing would that be? So you can't go too long, but you can't go too short. Because if they paid you for an hour, you speak for 25 minutes, you cheated them, right? Okay, when I give a speech, it's down to pretty much at the minute. I can tell you within about 3 minutes, plus or minus, exactly how long my speech is gonna be. And that's maximum, okay? Why? Because I practice. I practice and I practice and I practice. So I know how long this sucker goes. You need to do the same thing. That's important. Number 6, be flexible, y'all. Be flexible. Your event planner is stressed out of their minds, okay? There's a lot going on. You're just part of it. Your event planner wants to tell you this, but they're usually too nice to do so. Give them a break, y'all. Don't add to the problems. Don't add to everything going on right now. Be understanding for them. Understand what they're going through. Be part of the solution, not the problem. Booking agent Nona Prather told me a story about her dad, Carl Potter. He's an event speaker. He gets paid $20K a speech. And he was scheduled to speak for an hour. But the speakers in front of him went too long. So the event organizer came up to him, tripping out, and said, I'm so sorry. Things have gone out of control. We're way behind. Is there any way in the world you can cut your speech down to 15 minutes? Now, what would you do? You got an hour of speech to give. You got a lot of information to get across. It's important to you to get it across to them. What would you do? Well, some people might freak out. They might trip out. They might get all frantic. They might get pissed off. They might do any sorts of things. He could have done all of those things. What did he do? He goes, okay, not a problem. And then to himself, he goes, okay, I got 15 minutes. 15 minutes. What am I going to share with them in 15 minutes? The best of what I've got. Okay. So when he went up there, the audience had no idea he was supposed to speak for an hour. They had no earthly idea. And he rocked it so much, he even got a standing ovation. 15 minutes, standing ovation. And of course, he was asked back time and time again. Be flexible. That leads us to number 7. Be ready for anything. Listen, things will go wrong. AV fails. You got to have a backup. The event coordinator needs to know you can handle things without tripping out. The show must go on, and everything can be going to crap, but the audience can't know about it. Like a duck on top of the water. You've heard that, right? Up top, duck looks like he's just fine, gentle, everything's cool. Underneath, his legs are going like this. That's the deal. I even had one event while they were introducing me, all of my videos crapped out. All of my videos stopped working. And I start with the video like we'll talk about, and nothing was working while they're introducing me. So while the introduction's going on, I'm down there working with AV. We get it going last second. We get the videos going. And now, Terry L. Fossum, I walk up on stage. The audience had no idea anything was going wrong at all. It leads us into number 8. You got slides, get them to the event coordinator early. Get them there early. They may have to work with them. There may be some videos that you want to check on, which brings us to number 9. Be at sound check and be at AV check. Be there in person. Again, the buck stops at you. If something goes wrong, it's your responsibility, not the event coordinator. It's not the AV crew. It's nobody else. Buck stops with you. Be at sound check, be at AV check to make sure everything's going fine. Number 10, you're not just there to educate. You're there to entertain them. I call it edutaining, educating and entertaining them. Sure, you bring information to the stage, but you also got to bring inspiration. You got to bring fun. They need to have a great time. They need to enjoy themselves. They need to be taken away from their daily lives and take them to a world that you create where they feel enriched and enlightened and entertained. That's your job to do, not just talk information. Number 11, come the day ahead of time. This is part of being responsible. They need to know you're responsible. You got to come the day ahead of time. So you don't have to worry about flights being delayed, flights being canceled. Your sponsor knows you're there ahead of time. You can take that off of their plate. And then stay for the entire day afterwards as well. When you speak, this is one of the bad things that people do. They think they're all that cool. They get up, they give their keynote. All right, I am done here. And they walk out. Dun, dun, dun. You just missed a whole lot of opportunity. Number one, you loved them, leave them. You showed them you don't really care about them. You did your thing, you got your check, you're out of here. That's not how you get invited back. You get invited back because you stay, you show them you care, and you give people opportunities to come back up to you and ask you to speak for their events, or ask you to come back again to that same event next year. Come the day ahead of time and stay throughout that day. The entire event, if you can, if it makes sense to fit it into your schedule. And that leads us to the final point. Point number 12, that the agents and event coordinators want you to know. Guys, this is critical. If you book a speech through an event, that agent is entitled to every speech that gets booked afterwards because of that speech, because of that event, every seminar, everything that comes through that event. Don't cheat your agent, okay? Number one, it's the wrong thing to do. These people, they're trying to make a living. And if you don't do what's right, you're taking money from them. You're taking money from their family. You're literally taking money from their children. And that might sound melodramatic, but it's really not, because this is how they make their living, okay? And if you're cheating, and that brings us to the second point, word will get around and your phone will stop ringing because they know they can't trust you. If they can't trust you, they won't do business with you. Okay. That's the top 12 list of the secrets the event coordinators and the agents want you to know. Was that helpful for you? If so, you can go ahead and put something in the chat there. I'll admit I can't see the chat yet, but I will be looking at it later, so I appreciate that. Put something in the chat. If there's a point in there that was especially helpful, then put that in the chat. If you're an event coordinator, is that what you wish that your speakers knew about? So put that in the chat. In fact, if you'd like more ideas, if you'd like more information, let me give you my direct email address, tlfossum@icloud.com. tlfossum, F-O-S-S-U-M, @icloud.com. You can actually email me directly if you're an agent or event coordinator and go, hey, here's what we'd also like you to talk about in the future. Here's the things we want our people to know. Happy to add that in. If you're a speaker, if you've got more questions or points that you'd like to make, feel free to email me, tlfossum@icloud.com. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Let's get into the actual speech itself. This is, I know, what a lot of y'all are tuning in for. And how would you like to know the secrets that I use, that I personally use? How to win over an audience right away. Get them hanging on your every word. How to get their attention, keep their attention, and get them taking action. The action you want them to take, whatever that might be. And as for the agents and event coordinators, how would you like your speakers to be well trained in all of these things? Okay, if so, let's get into this. Okay, these are the secrets that I use. In fact, to tell you the truth, I've used them on you already. You're going to recognize a couple of them as I start talking about it. We get a drink of coffee here, and we'll get into it. Okay, number one, because I got there the day before the speech, like I told you about. I do these things. This isn't bull. This is what I do. Okay, if I get a chance, I practice my entire speech on the stage that I'll be performing on. And I say performing, not just talking. Make no mistake, this isn't just a speech. This is a performance, and you need to understand that it's a performance. Now, why do I do that? Why do I do the whole speech that I've practiced a million times already on that stage? Okay, being prior military. Again, we talked about that. Sometimes the military practices with live fire. That means they're throwing real bullets over their head. Why in the world would they do that? Because they want to make that practice as realistic as possible. They're introducing as much as they can ahead of time. So it won't be new when the bullets really start flying. Okay, bullets been flying before. Maybe a little closer to me this time, but I'm used to it. I'm not tripping out. Okay? Same thing as getting up on the stage you're going to be performing from. when I get up on the stage, and I do this every time, I get a feel for that stage. I get a feel for where the audience is. I'm looking left to right. I'm learning where they're going to be. I check if there's any hot spots for my microphone that I might run across, because I go all over the stage. I teach that in my speaker coaching. I go all over the stage. I will go into the audience. I want to make sure we don't get that annoying, you know? Great. It's a great attention getter. It's a bad thing to do. Also, I make sure there's no place that I'm going to trip, because sometimes on stages, they're uneven, or on floors, there's cords, stuff like that. I've practiced ahead of time on that speed, and it's kind of funny. Another benefit that I get is I see how the banquet people are reacting to my speech. The people who are setting up the tables, who are setting the place settings and the food and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of funny, because if they laugh at the parts I'm hoping they'll laugh at, I know, okay, that hit home. If they don't, even I can say, well, they're busy. No, then maybe I need to work on that little part. And I can also see how they're reacting to my speech. I've actually had banquet people come up to me in tears, thanking me for that talk. Blew me flipping away. It's happened more than once, twice. It's happened actually twice. And like, oh my gosh, that's when you know you're hitting home. And how do you think that makes me feel going into my speech then? Pretty good. All right, here's a huge one for you. This may be the biggest secret of all, to tell you the truth. I always get to the event early. I ask, hey, when are the guests going to start arriving? And I get there by that time. Now, so again, I'm not sitting in the green room. I'm not, enjoying a cocktail or a tea or something. No. I'm out there meeting the people I'm going to be talking to. Why in the world do I take that major extra step? Okay, I want them to know me. I want them to know me ahead of time. I want them to like me ahead of time. I want them to be on my side during the speech. Okay, why is that? Let me ask you a question. If your friend goes up on stage, how do you feel? Somebody your buddy, goes up there on stage. How do you feel? You feel great, right? You're smiling. You're cheering them on. Hey, man, there goes Ralph. That's awesome. That's awesome. You're laughing with them. You're going to do everything you can to help them from the audience, right? You feel amazing. That's Ralph up there. This is great. Okay? How do you feel if it's somebody you don't know? That's a whole different ball game, right? You're doing let's just wait and see about this. I don't know. They're going to have to earn your trust. They're going to have to earn that affection. See, the first few seconds you're up on stage, the audience is subconsciously asking themselves, do I like this person? If you think they're judging you, it's because they are. Okay? If they don't like you, they are not going to listen to you. They're going to be checking their emails. They're going to be checking their watches, looking at their phone. They're going to be wondering what time you're going to be done at so they can hit the bar with their friends who are at the conference with them. Let's face it, if you've ever spoken at a conference, you know that's exactly true. Everybody wants to hit the bar so they can hang out with their buddies, okay? You want them to like you before you even get up on that stage. And if you've looked in the eye, if you've met them, if you smile, if you've shaken their hand, made that personal connection, then you've made that connection before you've even started. You've already won over part of the crowd before you even started giving your speech. Can you see how powerful that is? Can you see how important that is to everything that you're doing? All of the work that you've done preparing, everything leads up to, do they like you or not? And this is how you get them to do it right off the bat. Okay, but wait a minute. You're speaking to a crowd of thousands. You can't do that to everyone, right? No. But get this. Here's what you do. I concentrate on the tables or the rows that are near the front and near the back. Okay, why is that? Why the front? Okay, first of all, we gain our energy as speakers from the audience, right? And I want people up front to be on my side. I want them to be with me. I want them to be smiling with me, smiling at me. I want them to be responding to me. I want them to be laughing with me, hopefully not at me, although I'll take anything. That's okay. The more they do that, the more energy that I've got and the more that I can give to the audience. If they're checking their phones, if they're yawning, if they're chatting with the person next to them, all that, the rest of the audience is going to see that, and they're going to take their cues off of exactly that, and they're going to do the same thing. On the other hand, if they're reacting, if they're smiling, if they're clapping, if they're joking with me, I'll play with the audience. If they're doing all those things, and especially at the end of the speech, they're standing up, so will everybody else. Bring the people in the front of the audience on your side. Okay, what about the back? Why do I bother with them? Guys, that's the hardest place to reach, is the back of the room. That's the hardest to get that energy back to, They're so far from you. There's so many people in between you and them. They're in the back rows, and I don't know about you, but growing up, I was always in the back row, and I was cutting up. I was talking to people next to me. I was disturbing everybody. I used to get thrown in detention all the time because of talking in the back of class, which is kind of funny because now they pay me a lot of money to speak. But you've got to be able to reach those people at the back of the room. It's harder to get the energy back there. Okay. And I want them to feel part of it. If they're back there, they're going to feel disconnected. So I'm going to meet as many of them as I possibly can also, so they feel a connection all the way across the room. Now, you can't always do this, but every time you can, absolutely do it. Meet as many of them as you can. The rest of the audience, even if it's just a few, they're gonna see you. They're gonna know who you are probably ahead of time. They're going to see you meeting these people. They're going to see people reacting to you, smiling with you, chatting with you. Subconsciously, they're going to be thinking, wow, this is a really nice person. And that's what you want them to think before you ever get up on stage. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. It's an important part of it before you even get on stage. But now let's talk about getting on stage. Now, you heard from the intro, maybe you picked up on it, maybe you didn't. Not only was I on a survival reality show, primetime on Fox Network, representing all of Boy Scouts of America in my Scoutmaster uniform, but I actually won the entire show. Don't let me sound too cool. Nobody was more surprised than I was, okay? But I use that to my advantage every single time. Before I even get up on stage, I have them play about 3 minutes of footage from that show. Now, some of it's exciting parts, some of it's fun parts, some of it's embarrassing parts to me, but it shows them I'm human. And of course, it shows me winning the entire show. So I'm not just some guy. I'm the survival reality show winner. Something they don't get to see every day. I know that. I get that. So when I stand up on stage, I'm the guy they just saw on TV. Wow, talk about credibility and fun right away. Now, it's fantastic. And you're probably going, well, that's great. I can't do that. I didn't win a survival reality show. I get that. However, there is something you can absolutely do. By the way, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. If you want to elevate your speech, if you want to be a world-class keynote speaker, put in the effort. It's what it takes. Okay, what can you do? It's actually easy these days, especially with technology as it is. There's no reason in the world that you can't have something. Okay, one recommendation, a short inspirational video that goes along with the theme of your talk, the theme of your speech. I mean, heck, AI these days can write it and produce it for you. So you've got something amazing that gets them inspired, makes them laugh, whatever it is you set up before you get up on stage. Pretty cool idea, right? Go for it. Again, don't have to, but it elevates your speech. They've just played your video. They've just announced your name. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs., Ms., whatever it is, here's your name. They bring you up. You're up on stage. What do? Okay, again, they are judging you with every microsecond you're up there. Connect with them. Make them feel good about themselves. Why are you excited to be with them? Why do you appreciate what they do? We all want to be appreciated. We all want to feel special, right? We want to know that somebody likes us, that appreciates what we do. So tell them. An example, when I spoke to an audience of realtors and mortgage lenders, I thanked them. I got right away. I'm so excited to be here, and let me tell you why. I really appreciate how you are helping families across the country turn their dream into a reality, into a home, for giving people a place to raise their families, to create their own lifelong memories, helping them navigate all the pitfalls that can kill that dream before it even starts. If they don't go through a realtor, if they don't go through a good mortgage lender like you. I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm happy to be, and I'm honored to be talking with you. Make it personal. Make it about them. Think about it. If someone gives you a heart-filled compliment, if someone truly appreciates you, how do you feel about them? You feel great, right? You like them. You're open to them. That's exactly how you want the audience to feel about you. You know, again, this is a simple thing, right? But it's these little secrets that will make all the difference in the world in your speaking. And for you agents and event coordinators, these are the things you want your people to do, right? That's why I've worked pretty hard putting this information together for you, so you've got something you can work with. I'll give you another example. You remember when I started this talk right now, this training that I'm giving right now? I did exactly that. Now, it was heartfelt. Okay, it always has to be heartfelt because an audience can tell if you're phony, all right? But when we started this, I thanked you as a speaker for making a difference in people's lives, in businesses, in the world, and as an agent, and as an event coordinator. How do you feel when I did that? Probably pretty good. And you should. You're my people. Folks, this is my world. You are my brothers and sisters in arms. We're all in this together, trying to make a difference in the world. I truly do appreciate you and appreciate what you're going through. Now, you've got that audience primed up. They are ready to hear what you've got to say. They're excited to hear what you've got to say. Next, let's get into the actual nuts and bolts of your talk. How do you structure your talk where you can be the most effective you can possibly be? Let me tell you, first of all, what does not work. There are basically three different elements to a speech. There's the introduction, there's the content, and there's the closing. Introduction, content, and closing. Okay, that's pretty basic, right? You may have heard the way you do this is tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you told them. Well, tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them and tell them what you told them. Let me say that again correctly this time. Tell them what you're going to tell them. The introduction. Tell them that's the substance. And then close by telling them what you told them. A recap. That's a technique that's taught by speaking coaches around the world, and it's absolutely wrong. Okay, let me tell you why. You don't start a speech with, okay, what we're going to talk about today is, I hear that all the time. It's so boring. You lose the audience right there. Oh my gosh, they're already going, oh God, this is just like everything else I've ever heard. You've heard speakers do that, right? What we're going to talk about today, but no. If you do that, you've lost the audience even before they've started. They're checking their phones. They're checking their emails, their voicemails. They're thinking about what they're going to buy at the store later or what time happy hour starts. Okay? Don't do that. The first thing you absolutely have to do is make the audience crave what you have to say so they can't wait to hear what you're going to tell them. You've got to create the need inside of them, inside of their subconscious. You got to make them want to listen to you. And how do you do that? It's what's in it for them. It's not what's important to you, what's in it for them. Why should they sit there for the next hour listening to you when they could be doing something much more fun, something much more productive, a million other things they could be doing than to be sitting in that chair? So you need to tell them right away why they want to do it, why what you have to say will help them, how to make their life better, maybe even change their life forever. Now again, did you notice that at the top of this talk, I did exactly that? I told you the event planners, agents, and speakers want you to know what I'm going to be telling you today. I said right at the start, for the event planners and agents, I'm going to give you footage you can share with every single speaker you work with. It'll make it much easier to work with, make them better at what they do, and take stress out of your life. For the speakers, I told you I'm going to let you in on the secrets of what the event planners and agents want you to know, but they don't have time to tell you. So they booked somebody else. That got your attention, didn't it? And then I told you I'm going to let you in on the secrets of how I get paid 20 grand an hour to talk, how my TED Talk reached number 2 in the flipping world, and how I've helped raise millions and millions for charities, speaking at events everywhere. Remember that? Let me ask you, did that get your attention and make you want to listen? Well, must have had some effect. You're still listening right now. Oh, wait a minute. Except for you. You're checking your email. Hey, you know your camera's on, right? You know I can see you, right? What's hilarious is there are some people just went, oh crap, I can't see you. It's okay. Your camera's not on. I can't see anybody else. It's okay. But I was looking forward to doing that because I know there's at least a couple of people who went, oh, really? Sorry, guys. Brings us to another point. Be yourself. Just always don't try to be somebody else. Be yourself. Okay. Here's an example of getting their attention right away. One of my talks is about creating massive organizational change. But here's the problem. People hate change, right? People hate change. But if you don't change, your company is going to die. It's going to die. That's all there is to it. There's no question about it. If you don't change, your company will die, right? And that means your job will go away. That means that your family won't get that money, okay? The speech is called Don't Think Outside the Box. Throw away the box. It's the 10 critical do or die steps to changing and perhaps saving your organization. So the very first thing I do is create that absolute necessity for them to get the information. I create the need in the audience to learn what I know so they can't wait to save their organization from dying on the vine. I go through some facts and figures about how 50% of the Fortune 500 companies, 50% that existed 20 years ago no longer exist today. Half of them, Fortune 500 companies, that means all of those families, all those employees, all of those customers, all of those people were affected for a long time. That creates the need in them to listen more. I give another seminar, how to finally get people out of their comfort zone. So if you're in some sort of a sales organization, real estate, network marketing, whatever it might be, people got to get out of their comfort zones. That's the biggest challenge. I know that because that's where I made my money, okay? And I give a talk on how to get people out of their comfort zones so they actually stick to their goals. They actually achieve their goals, whatever they are. And get this, okay? Now, I've got what I call the ox cart technique. It was called the most significant advancement in goal setting in recent, let me reset, the most significant advancement in the science of goal setting in recent history by a man who's named one of the 50 best brains in science by Discover magazine. This ox cart technique was the subject of my #1 best-selling book on Wall Street Journal, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble. #1 best-selling book. It was the subject of my #2 TED Talk in the world. But guess what? Nobody cares. Yeah, you were probably kind of sitting there listening while I'm talking about, yeah, okay, fine. So what, right? Nobody cares because you're thinking, what's that got to do with me? So I don't talk about that stuff. I start off by asking this. Now, let me ask you this as well. Have you ever reached for a goal and failed? Maybe again. Now, almost all the audience raises their hands. There's a couple that don't because they just don't. So I joke around, oh, so almost all of y'all and the rest of you just failed to raise your hand. Got it. Okay, good. Gets a little chuckle out, right? Again, I'm a little goofy. That's okay. I'm human, but I put it in terms they can relate to. Okay, let me see if this fits. You were really excited this time, right? You'd been to the seminar, or you'd read the books, or you'd listened to the tape. You're really pumped up. You're really going to do it this time. You did your dream boards. You did your positive visualization. You did your mantras. You wrote down your goals. You did everything you were supposed to do. You're really going to reach it this time. But over time, the passion faded. You got stuck in your comfort zone. The excuses started to make sense. You thought you really didn't have time to do it, when in truth, you just did the things that were comfortable and you didn't have time for the things that weren't, and you find you didn't reach your goal again. Does that sound familiar at all? Let me ask you, to you listening to this recording right now, or listening to this live when we're live. Does that sound familiar at all? What if I told you that most of what you have been taught about goal setting is wrong? It's true. It's wrong. It doesn't work. That's why, get this, 92% of the people who set a goal fail. 92%, because most of what we've been taught is wrong. What if I told you I had the solution based on Nobel Prize winning science? And that if you did it, if you actually did this technique, you would never fail at a goal again. You could actually reach that financial goal, no matter how big it was. You could finally lose that weight and keep it off forever. You can even apply this technique to your marriage and make sure it actually is the happiest it's ever been till death do you part. If I could teach you that technique, so all those things really could come true to you, would that be of interest to you? And let me ask you, everybody listening into this talk right here, would you like to learn more about that? Guess you're gonna have to listen to that speech, but that's the power of making it in terms of them. Okay, now you've got their attention and they can't wait to hear what you've got to say next. What do? Okay, watching the time here. Yeah, okay. I want to leave enough time for you guys to be able to do questions and answers. So I'm giving you a lot of information here. A lot of information. I know it's a lot to take in. I hope it's exactly what you've been looking for. If you'd like to know more, if you'd like to hear more, reach out to me. Again, tlfossum@icloud.com. tlfossum@icloud.com. I'm going to go to the ending because the middle part, you can learn about that in my coaching program, and that's okay. But I want to go right to the ending because I want to open this up for questions. So let me go back to the Scott story. I'm going to help you be the most powerful you've ever been in your life. Okay. You remember he was so nervous at the start and he got up and he was amazing. What did I do with him in that 15 minutes? I asked him a simple question. One question. I said, Scott, what is the most powerful you've ever been in your life? What's the most powerful you've ever been in your life? And, like most people goes, well, I don't really know. Which is sad because we play the bad things in our lives time and time again, don't we? We always play those over and over again, but not the good things. So now I want you to think of this. Well, I've got a few. Okay, give me the one. Now, Scott was the electronic warfare officer for a nuclear-equipped B-52 bomber, each one fully loaded, approximately the sixth most powerful nation on the face of the earth. He's got some stories. What was Scott's time he felt the most powerful? It was a speech he gave, or excuse me, it was, for me, it was a speech I gave. It was a softball game. It was a softball game. That's all. This guy, it was a softball game. He hit a home run. Okay, but I got him, that's important to him. I got him to tell me about that story. And so he started telling me a little bit. I asked him more questions. I got him excited. Did you know when you hit the ball, did you realize it was going to be good? So, yeah, I kind of had a good feeling. It felt great. Okay, you're running the bases. What's going on? People are screaming. They're yelling. They're tripping out. You go to second base. What's going on? They're going, keep going, keep going. You to third base. Go, go, go. Everybody's getting excited. You get to home base. What happened? They're there. They're cheering for me. They're so excited. They're jumping up and down. And Scott, how did that feel? It felt amazing, Scott. How do you feel right now? He goes, I feel fantastic. I feel like I could take on the world. That's what I want you to do. Before you get up to go speak next time, I want you to get into that state. I want you to get into what I call the position of power. This is what I teach in my coaching program. And I want you to get back there. Don't even be in the room. Go back there in your mind. Feel the feelings, hear the sounds, feel the excitement. Get back into there. So when he got up that next time to speak, he wasn't the guy that was afraid of, am I going to forget what I'm going to say? Am I going to blow it? Are people going to hate me? The guy that just did the home run. You can do the same thing yourself. When I close my speeches, it's important that you nail the closing of your speech, because this is the feeling you end them with. This is the emotion you leave them with. When I close my speeches, I give a story of my brother who, like me, grew up in the poorest city in the entire United States of America, surrounded by gangs and drugs, and was told he'd never grow up to be anything. And he failed at becoming, get this, an astronaut. And he failed, and he failed, and he failed. For 14 years, he failed. I tell this story and bring out a lot of emotion. Usually I have a good percentage of the audience in tears at this. And when they told him it was no longer possible, it was improbable. It was improbable. No, it was impossible for him to make astronaut. He was too old. He was crushed. When he got the phone call, he knew by the sound of the voice what the answer was. He was crushed until they told him, you've been selected to be a United States astronaut. At that point, when I tell that story, the entire audience erupts into applause every single time. And I show footage from the International Space Station of my brother in space talking to the audience. And it gets them in tears. It brings out that emotion that I want to leave them with. Just like that rocket propelled my brother to great heights, your speaking ability can propel you to great heights as well. You can become a highly paid, influential speaker. You can do this. You can raise millions of dollars for the charity to support you and affect those lives forever. You can have the second, maybe the number one TED Talk in the world. You can do it. I want you to imagine yourself on a stage in front of thousands of people, feeling powerful, more powerful than you've ever felt before in your life. And the audience feeling that too. My brother's life was changed forever when he became a United States astronaut. And your life can change forever when you learn to harness your God-given gift and use them to spread your message. That message that burns in your heart, that message that you yearn to share with the world, just like I do. I understand, folks. I get it. Listen, it was not an easy journey for him. It was hard. He wasn't better than anyone else, but he worked harder than anyone else. And that's what you're going to need to do as well. Don't let any excuse ever hold you back again. You've got the power within you. You've got what it takes to learn the skills, to practice the skills. You've got what it takes to get up on that stage and make a flippant difference in the world. You know the secrets that these folks want you to know. You got them. Remember the secrets that I taught you as well. Formulate that opening. It gets their attention and keeps it. So I can't wait to hear what you've got to say. Educate them, inspire them, entertain them, and change their life forever. Leave them with a closing that's what's like the end of an amazing fireworks display, right? That you've seen that before. The fireworks are going on and it's awesome. It's lighting up the sky, but then they get to that finale that lights up the sky entirely. You can do that to them and you can change their futures forever. Get on those stages, whatever those stages are, and listen to me, please. Use the voice that you've got, voice that's inside of you waiting to come out and change the world forever. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and open up the chatting and see if I can figure out how to do that on this screen here now. Syed, you may have to come on because I'm having trouble finding that. I've got a million things going on. I'm happy to say in my life, folks, with a lot. So, Syed, oh, here we go. Live chat. Got it. Okay. Oh, Joe Rocky, thank you for that. Thank you for that list. Wow, look at all these. This is fantastic. This is okay. Let me go through some questions. I'm going to go through some of the big ones first, and then I'll go over because I want you guys to get this information. Wow, get thinking of it early. Trust is key, no doubt about it. Hey, Nona, good to see you. Yeah, what's one storytelling strategy you use to make your presentations more engaging and relatable? Let me tell you, first of all, I got asked a lot, can you coach me? Can you coach me? So I finally put together a coaching program for everybody that you can go into, and it tells everything I've told you and a whole lot more. Let me find out. I've got to find out, in fact, what that URL is again. Well, I'll tell you what, just go to terrylfossum.com, terrylfossum, FOSSUM.com, and you'll see the coaching program that you can get in on. And I've got a surprise for you at the end here, so stay on for about 7 more minutes, and I've got a surprise for everybody at the end. You're going to love this. Okay, what are the storytelling strategies? God, there's so many. From the heart, and use emotion. Facts tell, stories tell. They will forget the facts. They'll forget the facts, but they will remember the stories. They'll remember the emotion. You've got to live that emotion. My speeches I've given God knows how many times, but it's the first time I've given it to that audience. It's the first time they've heard it. So it's got to be like the first time ever that I've given it with that same emotion. And there's actually times that I've teared up on stage, and it's real emotion, okay? But that's what they need to hear. So I guess that what I tell you is do the emotional part. Terry's not a fake. Thank you for that, Joe. I appreciate that. Is AI helpful? Can we use AI to create punchy opening line statements to grab the audience's attention? Yes and no. Use it as an aid, but be authentic. This has got to be you, okay? The audience can tell when it's you or not. So you can use AI to start you on all of that, but then use it only as a start. Don't let it write everything for you. Can you use... Yeah, and AI, thank you for that, is only as good as the info you give it. Absolutely. Can you give an example of how you use humor to connect to your audience during a presentation? Yeah, absolutely. One of the speeches I love to give is I give speeches to scouting organizations across the country. And again, I won the reality show representing all the Boy Scouts of America. And one of the things I do is I ate on that show a live grub. Now, I've eaten grub during survival in the Amazon jungle before. That was not a grub. This was a grub. Slimy, live, got squirted out of your mouth when you chomp on it, grub. And people ask me, how do you do that? How can you eat such a thing? That's so nasty. I tell them that's easy. I eat Boy Scout cooking. That's worse than any grub anywhere. And every person in the audience knows exactly what I'm talking about with that nasty food. So it's just one example of the humor. Give real stories. And again, don't feel afraid to laugh at yourself. That's okay as well. Okay. I love that. No need to put in love. Whatever other questions you might have, feel free to put them in the chat. Or again, feel free to reach out to me at tlfossum@icloud.com. Again, tlfossum@icloud.com. And I'm happy to answer your questions. I've got a lot more tips on my website, www.terrylfossum.com. If you are an agent or if you are an event coordinator and you'd like to talk to me about speaking at your event, you can go to topratedkeynote.com, topratedkeynote.com. And I'll be happy to chat with you and find out what your topic is, find out what your audience is, and how I can best serve them. Okay, any other questions? Okay, fantastic. What are your tips for maintaining eye contact with a huge audience? Thank you for asking that. I appreciate that. There's something I teach in my coaching course I call Rev Up Your Speech. And that talks about your rate of speaking. You've noticed I slow it down. I speed up sometimes. Your volume and eye contact. You'll hear some people teach, some well-known coaches teach, look above their heads for large audience. Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. I look at the people in the front row and I make eye contact with them. Then I will look, even if I've got the bright lights on me and I can't see the audience, I'm going to be looking at different points where I know the audience is because I've already been on that stage before, right? they're going to feel like I'm looking at them. I will walk to the right of the stage and I will look into the audience there. I'll look back to where I know the back of the room is, and I'll walk to the left of the stage and I will do the same. I'll be in the middle of the stage. I don't stay in one place. I never stay behind a podium. Never do that. That makes a block between you and the audience. Never do that. Oh, but that's where my notes are. Don't have notes. Never have notes. Never read. Never depend on your notes or you're going to freak out. Practice, practice, practice. So that's how I maintain eye contact. And especially if I've met them before, they do feel like I'm, so many times I've people come up and go, I really felt like you're talking directly to me. No, that's by design. Good. Great question. I appreciate that. What's some other questions? All right. If that's the case, we are closing up right on our hour. I hope this information again has been helpful for you. I'd love to help you develop your speaking. I'd love to help you reach those audiences you want to reach. If you're looking to do a TED Talk, I'd love to help you learn how to not just book a TED Talk, but actually rock a TED Talk. Maybe you'll get millions of views as well. You can make a difference in the world. Those things you've been thinking about, you can do it. And I'd love to help you do it. Check out terrylfossum.com. Go to the Mic Drop coaching program, and I'll look forward to helping you out there as well. Saying thank you so much. Love this, Terry. I really appreciate that feedback. Everybody, that's it for me for today. This is Terry Fossum. Oh gosh, thank you. All the comments on there. This is Terry Fossum. Use your voice, the power of the human voice, the most powerful weapon on earth to make a difference in the world. Get out there and go get them, y'all. Take care.